All right. This,
Your light. Your light.
ready? Thank you. Everybody ready? All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Bob, you ready? Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Mayor and Council, Monday, April 13th, starting at 6:35 p.m. Missy, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Nunziato.
Here.
Council President McGowan.
Present.
Councilman Coakley.
Here.
Councilman Errico.
Here.
Councilman Guzman.
Here.
Councilman Del Ricon.
Here.
Councilman Mazzone.
Here.
Thank you. We do have some presentations tonight. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we are acknowledging that April is Autism Awareness Month. This evening, we have several members of the Rutherford Access for All Committee with us who will join me in receiving this after the proclamation is read. So if you would mind giving me a moment while I share the proclamation. Whereas the month of April is recognized as Autism Awareness Month, or Autism Acceptance Month, dedicated and encouraging the acceptance, understanding, and awareness of individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder known as ASD. And whereas 1 in 31 individuals are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder nationally, with a higher incidence rate of 1 in 29 in the state of New Jersey. And whereas autism impacts people regardless of race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic backgrounds. And whereas currently there is no known cure for autism spectrum disorder. And whereas while autism is commonly associated with the challenge of communication, social skills, and behavior, the individuals within the autism spectrum disorder community present varying qualities, strengths, and challenges. And whereas it is imperative to create and foster a community that both recognizes and supports individuals with autism and embraces neurodiversity and promotes inclusivity through access for all. And whereas building communities that support acceptance of individuals with neurodiversity promotes awareness of ASD and is essential in promoting early diagnosis, intervention, and access to resources and support. And whereas continuing Rutherford's mission of access for all further supports an inclusive and supportive environment that promotes understanding, empathy, and acceptance within schools, workplaces, homes, and throughout Rutherford. And whereas creating an inclusive and supporting community focused on cultivating positive relationships, understanding, and empathy for the inclusion of all neurodiverse individuals promotes greater civic engagement and adds to the texture and fabric of our borough. And therefore, be it resolved on behalf of the Borough of Rutherford, Mayor Frank Nunziato, and our council, we hereby proclaim that April 2026 be designated as National Autism Acceptance Month.
Thank you. You want to have them step forward?
Yes. Can I please ask any members of our Special Parents Network or our Access for All Committee to join us in the front?
Council, please step down from the dais. Thank you. The next presentation, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I saw at least one member of the Green Team here tonight, so I'm excited to read this proclamation on their behalf and congratulate them for this. This coming week is International Dark Sky Week, and I have a proclamation here that I'll read on behalf of the Mayor. Whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of a natural night sky is a shared heritage of all humankind, and whereas the experience of standing under a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe, encouraging a growing interest in science and nature, particularly among young people and visitors, and whereas 80% of the world's population lives under a dome of light pollution, excessive artificial lighting at night that disrupts natural darkness, and may never experience the visual wonder of ecological and health benefits of living under a dark sky, and whereas Dark Sky International, the globally recognized authority on light pollution, recognizes International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of the effects of light pollution, provide free education, resources, and solutions to the public, and encourage the protection of and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting. Now, therefore, I, Frank Nunziato, Mayor of the Borough of Rutherford, do hereby proclaim April 13th through 20th, 2026 as International Dark Sky Week, and ask each resident to join me not only in observing and pondering upon this important week, but also in raising awareness and support for protecting our precious dark sky as a resource. And anyone from the Green Team in attendance, I'm happy to present this to you at the front here.
Anybody from the Green Team want to step forward, please?
I just saw Carol moments ago. Oh, okay.
Can everybody step down from the dais again? The next presentation will be by the Borough Administrator, Bob.
Thank you, Mayor. Get everything ready here. All right, let's give this a shot. All right, thank you, everyone. Tonight, we're just want to give a snapshot of what the borough's annual budget looks like and how we got there, and the impact on you, the residents and the taxpayers of the town. So in terms of process, the borough introduced the annual budget at the last meeting on March 23rd. Tonight, April 13th, we're having this public presentation to give you an explanation of what it is. And also later on the agenda, we'll be introducing several capital ordinances which will make up the borough's capital plan for the year. There were two ordinances on the printed agenda, and we'll be asking the council to add one more tonight, a reappropriation of old capital funds for projects that we either completed or and left some balances, or projects that we moved in a different direction on. So we're going to move some of that money towards this year's projects. And then on April 27th, we will have the public hearing on both the borough's municipal operating budget and also the public hearing on the three capital ordinances for the capital. So it'll be a busy night on that night. The public can speak on each of them separately when the turn on the agenda pops up. So giving you a snapshot of this year's budget, the borough's ratables, or the value of all the land and all the property in Rutherford, is $2,739,503,864. That is down from 2025 by 9.6 million. And the gist of that reduction is due to a situation that is occurring throughout the state. And you'll see later in the presentation where the cable franchise fee is down. And really that's due to Verizon. And many of us no longer have home telephones. And everyone uses their cell phones now. They don't use Verizon as their landline. And the way the law reads is that once Verizon is no longer servicing 51% of the households, they no longer need to be considered as part of this tax formula. And Rutherford, has reached that threshold below 51%. There are towns that are fighting that case, and there's legislation pending down in Trenton to address it, because it's an issue that we're all facing right now, and some have already faced it. Rutherford's turn is this year, and it's a huge, huge loss, as you can see in this document today. So that's explaining kind of some of the problems we've had in this year's budget. Municipal tax rate for this year is $1.016. It's up 2.95% from last year. And the borough's average assessed home value this year is $440,500. Now, everyone's going to say, that's not the value of my home. That's just the assessed value, not the market rate. When the borough does complete its reval, probably in 2028, you'll see the reassessments be a true reflection of the market rate at that time. I think our ratio right now is closer to 62% of market rate. So, if you do the calculation, you can see why that low, and the number is 440 as opposed to true market rate. In terms of the overall tax rate comparing this year to last year, as I mentioned, this year's estimated rates, $1.016. Last year it was 0.987 per $100 of assessed value. This year we're up 0.029 from last year. This rate calculates on a $440,000 home, be $4,476.56. 4,477.56 in municipal taxes only. Compared to last year, that same house paid $4,349.36. So an increase in the municipal taxes of $128.20. Again, these numbers that we're talking about will include the borough budget as well as the library budget. So for those people that are interested in the calculation of how you get your tax rate, I know there are some people that love this slide. So the way you calculate it is you take the overall taxes that need to be raised. In this case, in the borough's budget, it's $27,846,309. And you divide it by the borough assessment or the ratables, and I mentioned that earlier, 2.739. And then you take that number and you multiply it by 100, because that's, I keep telling you, it's about based on $100 of assessed value, and that's how we get to the number of 1016. And then the next below that shows you how we got to the actual calculation of your taxes on that house of $440,500 times the rate divided by the 100 got you to $4,477.56, or $373.13 per month. In this case, the borough's portion of your tax bill represents approximately 31% of your tax bill. Looking at the total tax rate, the upper portion of this slide shows you what 2025 was versus right below it, 226 and introduced. You can see the valuation of the properties was much higher last year, and $9.6 million worth, 2,749 versus this year 2,739. And you can see the comparison of the tax rates. And and for this slide purposes, I've estimated the county open space and school, because we didn't have firm numbers yet. The school number is a 4.2% increase over last year, which is pretty close to, I think, where they're going. The county numbers in this slide were at 3%, which I think is probably a little low. I think they're going a little higher than that based on what I read the other day. But you can see based on comparison purposes, that $440,000 home last year paid $14,092.19. This year, that same home will be paying $14,648. So where do your taxes go? And this pie chart shows you that 59% or 59.44% of your tax bill is attributed to the school. The county gets 9.56, the county open space 0.43%. And this county open space money is dedicated to parks and playground improvements, purchasing stuff dedicated to enhancing open space throughout the county. We apply for grants each year to recapture the money that's taken from our borough property owners, try and bring it back to Rutherford for various projects. Many times we're successful, and we'll keep trying. The library is 1.5% of your tax bill, and you can see the borough represents a little more than 29% of your overall taxes. So I kept talking about the average assessed value of $440,000, but for those of you who have homes appraised a little higher than that or assessed a little bit higher, I wanted to give you different examples. You see $500,000, $550,000, $600,000, and shows you in yellow what this year's proposed taxes are for municipal purposes versus what you paid last year, and you can show the various increases. So $750,000 home is projected to see a $218 increase from last year to this year. The next slide, we talk about what the budget really looks like. So our total budget for this year is $41,075,558. Of that, we're raising $27.8 million in taxes to support that annual budget. Again, this is strictly for municipal purposes. Municipal purposes includes the library. In comparison to last year, year's amount to be raised by taxes is we're requesting $702,000 more this year than last year, again, including the library. So what supports our budget? Here are the revenues, and these numbers are, or these categories that I've listed, really come from the state's line item budget document. These are how they characterize the various revenue sources each year. You can see in terms of surplus, we're requesting to increase by $350,000, and I'm going to explain some of the rationale behind that shortly. Local revenues, slight increase from last year of $117,000. I have a separate slide that kind of goes over that, so I'll explain that in detail later. State aid, this is money we get from the state each year. As you can see, there's no increase, and quite honestly, there hasn't been an increase in that in quite a long time. We need to petition our legislatures in Trenton to open up the coffers a little bit and be a little more fair with that. UCC fees is really the Uniform Construction Code. These are the fees paid to the building department for permits and various, when you do construction renovations and stuff. What I do want to highlight in terms of revenues, the general practice here is you were able to anticipate in this year's budget what you realized in the previous year's budget. So you have to be very careful moving this forward. You can't anticipate stuff that aren't realistic. The state will not allow you. The only way you can increase or to anticipate more than you realized last year is if you actually have the cash in hand already, or if you have really strong documentation supporting your request that you guaranteeing you to realize that revenue this year. Shared service agreement, a little bit down. Part of that's due to us transitioning out from a shared service with Carlstadt and East Rutherford, and for our construction code official, we decided to go with our own employee for that, moving forward, as opposed to sharing them with the other two towns. Grants is always a number that fluctuates, based on the grants that we have at the time of introduction. But you'll see a lot of the discrepancy, down $1 million, is that last couple of years we were fortunate to receive an appropriation from the state for improvements down Memorial Field. In 2024, it was $5 million, then it was $3 million in '25, and, you know, there's $500,000 of that in this year's budget, so you can see why we $2 million last year, and now it's $500,000, why there's a little bit less this year, but it's no reflection upon anything bad. It's just the nature of the grant business. Special items of revenue, I do have another slide on that to be a little more detailed on that, but, you know, the difference is minimal. Receipts for delinquent taxes, you know, that's on a pattern here that we, you know, payments that we receive, so just trending there, nothing significant. And then the last two are the amount to be raised by taxation that I've talked about numerous times already, that $27 million number for us and the library. So this pie chart just kind of gives you a nice picture of, you know, what revenues are used to support your annual budget. You can see 64% of it is your tax dollars. The next biggest one is the surplus this year is 9%, a little higher than we'd like, and we'll talk about that later. And you can see that everything else is a small pie moving forward. Oops. Yeah, here's the slide I was talking about, giving you a little more detail on some of the specialty items. And so local revenues, you can see, you know, we're looking at an increase in municipal court fines and violations this year. Parking meters have been pretty set the last couple of years. Interest on investments, we had a good year. Parking lot permits pretty consistent. Fire safety permits, a little down from last year to this year. We, you know, unfortunately had some staffing issues there this year that we've addressed towards the end of '25, and so we're going to be catching up this year. And the miscellaneous, just a host of other small little things, negligible change. So you can see in terms of that, we're anticipating an extra $117,000 this year. Summary of special revenues. You can see the first thing is a little decrease in the Meadowlands tax sharing. You know, we're one of 14 towns between Bergen and Hudson County that receive a take of special tax, an additional tax on hotels in the district. It's formula driven. So based on the formula, we are realizing a little bit less this year. Payment in lieu of taxes, pilots, you know, very popular topic here when we talk redevelopment. We're able to anticipate a little bit more this year because we did realize a little bit more in '25, so that helps us. Cable TV franchise fees, you know, and I talked about this earlier. The numbers keep going down each year, and a lot of this is attributed to you know, the Verizon stuff going down. People are, you know, and also people are streaming, so they're not using cable or Comcast, or they're not using Verizon. So a lot of these things attribute to that. Police administration fees, it's a new revenue that we're anticipating this year. There's fees attached to when contractors hire our police officers for off-duty purposes. Those fees that are given back to the borough, we're now anticipating to the budget this year. Sale of the liquor license, you know, we've issued 4 already. Last year we had the 5th one in the budget. Unfortunately, we had to rescind that award. That's why we're not able to anticipate it this year's budget. That's why we increased the revenue line item surplus to represent that lost revenue, but we anticipate replenishing the surplus because we do have that 5th license out currently, and you know, we do not expect the same challenge that we had last year this year. So hopefully that's true. Hotel occupancy, you know, that's, we get a percentage of the taxes received from people staying at the hotels here in Rutherford. So a slight increase last year. Expect that number to be a little higher next year with the FIFA coming to town, and hopefully we'll be able to reap a little bit of benefit there in the '27 budget. And then miscellaneous is another series of little revenues in that category, and you can see it's only an additional $5,000, so minimal. In terms of surplus, you know, we're using $9 million, 9% of our budget is represented by surplus this year, and you see that number is kind of high compared to previous years. And I talked about how, this year we're using a little bit more to cover that lost revenue in the liquor license, but we'll replenish it when that sale of liquor license goes through this year. Yeah, I think, I want to explain that the 24 and 25 numbers, you see those charts are a little low, a little bit of a, misleading, because those are the 2 years that we received significant grant dollars from the state for the Memorial Field project. In 24 was $5 million, in 24 was $5 million, 25 was $3 million. So I kind of, fudged the numbers a little bit to suggest that we're using a little bit less percentage of our surplus. But I think we've take those issues out, we're pretty consistent in that, that 8.7, 8.8 range, and the number that we like to be at moving forward. So how do we spend your tax dollars? Again, these are the line item codes within the state line item budget. Salary and wage, obviously a significant portion of it, the library, but the big number is always the general expenses, and I have a slide that will kind of give you a little bit of breakdown on how we arrived at those numbers. And then professional services, contributions to HIP Center and stuff like that, miscellaneous, small little, but debt service, our annual debt service, you can see, we're managing that pretty well. Grants, it's an offset from what you saw on the revenue side. And then our reserve for collected taxes, where we have to budget in the event we don't collect 100% of the taxes due each year, which, we're in a high, 98, 90, so we're close, but we're never at 100%, so you have to budget in the event that you don't get 100%. Appropriations, so again, I just want to have a little pie chart to show you how your tax dollars are spent. You can see most of it is really on the general expenses and salary and wages, and then all little items throughout the budget. And here's the slide I was referencing about general expenses. Operating costs for the departments, $2.9 million. Not a lot of money based on the services that we provide here, but the big number is the next line item, insurance. And as everyone in this world are experiencing, is the cost of healthcare has gone up significantly. This year alone, the borough's medical premiums have gone up 25%, and that's really the driving factor behind a lot of the decisions made by this budget. That and property and casualty, insurance, workers' comp claims. So you can see we're up $900,000 from the previous year. That is a significant number in this year's budget for us. Utilities, costs are going up. Our, electric bills going up. Pension costs actually got a little lucky this year, a little down, and everything else is kind of right in line, up and down. The municipal agreement that I referenced earlier with the shared service on East Rutherford and Carlstadt, we kind of are out of that. That's why that number is down this year. But I really want to stress the number in yellow. That is the cost of health care is a driving force behind a lot of decisions, tough decisions we had to make in this year's budget. I wanted to show the borough's debt payments because everyone was in fear when we built the new police headquarters in there that our debt service is going to skyrocket. As you can see, in 2009 it was higher than it is today, and we've been pretty good at managing it since that project was finished. So I credit that to our CFO, who's done a phenomenal job in guiding us through that process and telling me no way too often on times I want him to say yes. So thank you for saying no, Gordon. And lastly, I want to talk about the capital improvements that are going before the council tonight for introduction. There are, like I said, 2 ordinances already on the printed agenda, and I'm asking for a third. reappropriation ordinance to be added tonight. And here are the projects that we're targeting for this year. A significant portion of our budget, capital budget, really goes to road improvements. So you see we're targeting Darwin Avenue, Hastings, Winger, Morris, Montrose. We were beginning we received a Transit Village grant this year, or last year, that we're going to start acting and moving on this year. So there's some road improvements part of that. So, we're allocating $1.4 million to complete those improvements. We have a couple of vehicles we need to acquire this year for police and DPW. We always keep a little money to the side for borough building improvements. We do have an older building that needs some TLC once in a while. Our fire department, our DPW needs equipment each year, so we're allocating $290,000 for that. And then, last but not least, we've targeted or allocated $895,000 towards some additional improvements down Memorial Field to finish that project, and also Tamblin Field, a new handicap accessible playground that we refer to as the Jake's Law Grant. We were fortunate enough to receive that last year, or at the end of last year. It's a very competitive grant, and we want to get that project up and going for that part of town. Hasn't had a significant recreational improvement in quite some time, so we want to help out the southern end of town, which will get us close to about $2.8 million road capital improvement program this year. So if the council will see to it that we can get this thing moving with our ordinances tonight. And that's really it for me now. Thank you very much for listening to me, and the public will have an opportunity to speak on all these documents that have been discussed tonight at the next meeting, and then the council will be asked to consider adoption of the municipal budget and the various capital ordinances. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And Gordon, thank you for your excellent work and your excellent filing system in your office. Thank you, Bob, for everything. We'll move on now to the review of the changes to the agenda. Missy?
Yes, under item 5 for ordinances, we'll be adding item C under President of the Council, the bond ordinance reappropriating $360,000 for various improvements. Under item 7 on the agenda, under resolutions, we'll be adding resolution number 93, authorizing the execution of a contract with Tillicon for road repaving. Item 8 under consent agenda, number 85, the raffle license ordinance has been amended. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else from the council? Bob?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one word about that Tilcon resolution. That is related to PSE&G has started doing their restoration for their gas main program from last year. So there's a lot of milling and paving going on. And there were 5 streets that they were only going to do half mills on and half paving. I thought that might have been a little ridiculous, so I wanted to see if we could do curb to curb on those streets, and working with our CFO, working with our attorneys and auditors, we were able to work with their contractor in order to make this happen. So we were able to fund the other half paving of those 5 streets by awarding this contract tonight. So I think it's a benefit to the borough. I think we're realizing a significant cost savings here by piggybacking on the PSE&G contract, where they're picking up all the costs for the police details and all the restriping that'll be done once the paving is completed. So our engineer has certified to the price is a very good price that we're receiving. So we certainly recommend moving this forward. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else from the council have anything to add? Seeing none, we're going to move on.
Motion.
Motion.
Motion to accept the changes?
Motion by Council President, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to move on to ordinances on first read. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. First is a capital ordinance providing funding for various capital projects. Missy, can you please read the title, the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance providing funding for various capital purposes for the Borough of Rutherford and appropriating $690,000 for such purpose.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, move that the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
Motion by the Council President, may I have a second?
second,
Second by Councilwoman Del Rey-Con. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Council President.
Next is a bond ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in the borough. Missy, can you please read the title of the ordinance only?
An ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the Borough of Rutherford in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,800,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of a $1,710,000 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to move that the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
second,
Second by Councilwoman Del Rey-Con. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Council President.
Thank you. Next is a bond ordinance reappropriating $360,000 of proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purposes. Missy, can you read the title? Can you read the ordinance by title only? Thank you.
A bond ordinance reappropriating $360,000 proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purpose and to be used for various improvements by the Borough of Rutherford.
Thank you. I'd like to move the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second. I will acquiesce.
Second by Councilman Mazzone. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have ordinance on first read amending Chapter 126, establishing a handicap parking space on Woodland Avenue. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to establish a handicap parking space on Woodland Ave.
Motion to move that the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second, please?
Second?
Second by Council President. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Next ordinance on first read, I have amending Chapter 126, establishing a handicap parking space on Eastern Way. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to establish a handicap parking space on Eastern Way.
Motion that the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second, please?
second,
Second by Councilwoman Del Rey-Con. Any questions or comments by the council? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Rey-Con?
yes,
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance is on second read. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is the ordinance to exceed the municipal 2026 budget appropriations limits. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
Calendar year 2026, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Thank you. I'd like to move that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
second,
Second by Councilman Del Rey Cohen. At this time, I'll now open this ordinance up to the public for any comments on this subject and this subject matter only. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and now open it up for any council comment. Seeing none, Missy, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazone?
Yes.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is the salary ordinance for day camp counselors. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
In order to amend and supplement ordinance number 3683-24 adopted on March 24, 2024, and entitled an ordinance regulating the employment, tenure, and discharge of certain officers and employees of the Borough of Rutherford under the provisions of the Civil Service Act of New Jersey.
Thank you. I'd like to move the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Del Rey Cohen. I'll now open this up to the public for any comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close to the public and open for any council comment. Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Abstain.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazone?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Erico.
Thank you, Mayor. Because this is on my docket, I'm going to take a moment to explain what I'm about to do, which might inform future discussions here. But this is the parklet regulation that I believe many are here to discuss tonight. At our last meeting, the first reading, we had a lot of comment from the public and from business owners regarding that. In the intervening time, we had a lot of comments as well regarding that, myself and my colleagues as well. And for me, I see two issues with the ordinance that I was not aware of at the previous time. I think one is a procedural issue, which is that.
Hey, John, we just first have to get
Well,
it
I
through.
know, I just want to, I'm
Okay,
going to
you wanna do a preamble on it?
just
No
very
problem.
briefly. Yeah, just to give context, as we're going to have a discussion after this. So one I see as a procedural issue, which is that the business owners are not aware of what we're going to do. And the second is a substantive issue, which I won't discuss now, but I just wanted to highlight. So what I'm going to do is actually, I no longer support this ordinance. I've changed my mind regarding this. So I'm going to actually move momentarily for this ordinance to not be adopted, just to give context. And then we can have a discussion after, as you will. But Missy, could you read the title of this ordinance, the title of the ordinance by title only, excuse me.
An ordinance to amend and revise Chapter 65 outdoor cafes of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to prohibit parklets.
Thank you, Missy. I'm going to move that the ordinance not be adopted.
If I may, and I hate to interrupt, just procedurally, I certainly understand, Councilman Erico, your position. I appreciate the preamble. Because it's a second reading, it will move as written, and the vote will continue, and everybody's free to vote no. But I think it has to proceed to second reading or otherwise be pulled.
Okay, well, I think my position is clear. So I'll move the ordinance be adopted according to law, but my position is clear. Yeah.
I'm sorry, we don't accept the conversation right now. We're still trying to get to that point, but we will.
So that's my motion.
So first you have to,
But he's,
Someone can second it or not second it, I assume, so,
you are, okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So
So you're making a motion?
yes.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Mazone, correct? We're going to now open it up for any public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Can you just press it so it's green? Thanks.
Okay. Good evening, Pietro Caldarelli, 106 Park Ave. Good evening, Mayor Annunziato, members of the Borough Council, and fellow residents of Rutherford. My name is Pietro Caldarelli. I'm the manager of Songhe Napoli, located in 106 Park Ave Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey. A few weeks ago, I stood before you to share how outdoor dining has strengthened our business and brought energy to downtown Park Avenue for the past 5 years. Tonight, as you prepare for the final hearing and vote on the proposed ordinance that will ban parklets and restrict outdoor structures, I return with even greater urgency. Mayor Annunziato, you will be a steward for the outdoor dining alongside.
Excuse me one second. Can you just hold up for just 1 second?
Sure.
Sorry. Like John.
So, thank you all for coming. There is a question as to whether or not we have to proceed to a vote or simply pull the ordinance. My opinion is either one of those are viable options. Sometimes you're watching government literally happen in real time, and that's what's happening here. So, to the extent that that is the will of the council, we can certainly do that.
Jonathan, could I just make a question? Perhaps the motion did not need to be seconded? Is that a possible outcome? If the motion isn't seconded, I assume it would just not be considered. Is that?
Yeah, I am comfortable in either scenario. But we can pull it, and then it would be defeated by lack of notice.
I think just to explain the rationale was that if we did not vote on this, the ordinance could come up again for second reading, I assume. So the desire to either vote in the negative or it not be seconded was to prevent that outcome. But
Councilwoman.
I just want to be clear on something separate from the procedural issue, which is I don't want to lose the discussion around this issue simply because we pull the ordinance, because a lot of people have come here to speak to it. And I do think that a lot of the council has views that may or may not be helpful. My concern is that there is so much misinformation that is circulating about this issue, and I'd love us to be able to clarify that. So if we're going to pull it, great. And if you don't want, if knowing that we're pulling the ordinance and this is no longer an issue for you, I don't think you need to speak, but you can, because that's the point. So that was my only issue. Can we still do a discussion, Jonathan, if we pull the ordinance?
If we are agreeing to pull it now, I don't know that a discussion would be appropriate.
Then I would suggest we don't pull it and we just vote it down.
Jonathan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could we separately vote to have a discussion? If we had a 2/3 majority, we could say discussion. Not to belabor the point, but.
That is a question that depends on where we are with that policy that.
Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I agree with my colleague, Chrissy Delray-Cohn. I really think that, it's on the agenda. There's people that came here today to speak, and I think we need to hear our residents out, whether yay or nay. I think
That's fine. I just think that everybody needs a better understanding that we are going to let everyone speak, but it seems that the consensus was that we're going to be moving along towards striking this, but you may speak.
Thank you. Mayor Annunziato, you will be a true steward of the outdoor dining along Senator Paul Sarlo. Both of you have dined at my restaurant in the past. As I remember, Senator Sarlo clear promise to make this pandemic-era success permanent. Thanks in large part to your leadership, his leadership, and Governor Murphy's support, New Jersey made outdoor dining rules permanent in late 2024. That bipartisan success story has helped many restaurants like mine to thrive, create vibrant streets, and support local economy. Now is not the time to reverse the progress in Rutherford. This decision hit our young people especially hard, even in summer when local students rely on their season to find jobs in the restaurant, like Songhe Napoli or my colleagues here, to pay college tuition and expenses. This position gives them valuable work experience, responsibility, income, and banning or severely limiting outdoor setups will reduce shifts, cut hours, and take opportunity away from the very stars that we want to see succeed in Rutherford. We also failed a proposed 3% taxes increase in our restaurant and store in the Midland District, included right here in Rutherford during the critical work hour period, and this comes from the governor. This extra tax burden will apply precisely when we should maximize revenue from visitors. Without outdoor tables and parklets, we will lose capacity to serve more customers and offset the higher taxes. We will be asked to pay more while being prevented to earn more. This is simply unfair. The parking concerns raised are understandable but solvable. Rutherford already offers excellent nearby options, including the Keep Avenue garage and other public lots near the train station. If everyone makes better use of this facility, the few meter spots used for parklets will not create a crisis. Outdoor dining has operated successfully under existing Chapter 65 rules for years, with fees covering meter revenue and safety requirements in place. Removing it won't magically create more parking spots. It will only shrink our downtown appeal. This year is the year of the FIFA World Cup 2026, with the final on July 19 at MetLife Stadium, just short train ride from or walkway from Rutherford. Tens of thousands of fans will pour in our area before and after the matches, using New Jersey Transit driving in or exploring on foot. Rutherford is the perfect location to welcome them with lively streets, alfresco dining, and unmistakable hospitality that we are known for. Outdoor patio and parklets turn ourselves walking destination for the economy boost. Banning them now could be a self-inflicted wound that will become final when, I want to go off the topic here. There would be 120,000 people coming for the final of the World Cup. It's very a self-inflicted wound that just Rutherford decided to pull out this ban. Meanwhile, East Rutherford, the other city nearby, will take advantage of this, So we will be not the main star. We will be just in the shadows. It's a little bit shameful. Finally, many of us already, Marathon already have invested significant money in equipment, materials, barrier, furniture, etc., specifically for outdoor dining. These are not temporary experiments. These represent financial commitments made in good faith under the rules we are supposed to be permanent. A sudden ban will create unnecessary hardship and waste. Mayor Nunziato and council members, you have supported local business before. I respectfully urge to reject the ban on outdoor structure, keep the program with smart existing guidelines for safety, accessibility, and seasonal use, or even strengthen. This choice supports small business, helps students, prepare us for the World Cup spotlight, and keeps Rutherford vibrant for the years to come. I want to thank all the people that came for support us. I want to thank all of you for all this year of support for the outdoor dining. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to address one thing before we go on. This 3% sales tax that you're hearing about,
The proposal.
that they're talking, that's not nothing to do with Rutherford. They're not coming to your stores. They're not coming here to say you owe 3%. That's a Meadowlands District problem, not ours.
But it will affect everybody in a radius of 20 miles.
No, it will not. We've heard nothing on that. That's just what people are seeing on social media. That pertains to the Meadowlands NJSEA district. There's nothing to push forward onto this community. I just want to make sure everybody understands that because that rumor's been out there. Okay?
Thank you.
That tax is not on Rutherford.
Okay.
It has not come to us about our businesses or anything like that. I just want you guys all to understand that because it's already all over social media and I haven't heard anything about it, nor is anybody else sitting up here. Okay? So I just want to be clear on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right? Next up.
Mayor, Council, thank you for your time. My name is Craig Villanova. My wife and I, she's here with me, both residents in town, active community members, and we're here to support keeping the parklets, not having the ordinance passed. Sir, as interesting as it is to watch local government happen live and in action, I do appreciate the council hearing us. Sure, 258 Ridge Road. As a family, we go into town to eat much more often when there's outdoor dining available. As a family, we're a group of four, and smaller tables outside of restaurants aren't really amenable, really fittable for us. Beyond that, supporting our local restaurants, while there are a series of stores and businesses that are, that do have notoriety in town, I think the restaurants are the bigger draw for a lot of people to come into town and bring a lot of foot traffic to the other businesses. I think it's important for us to support them, and more than anything, seeing the parklets out in town, how they're well decorated, well cared for by the other restaurants, I think it brings a level of culture and uniqueness to our downtown that brings a little bit of, just flair and pizzazz to to our town and to our town's culture that we wouldn't get with just 8 more parking spots. I don't see the value in that. So I think that the 8 parking spots coming in don't outweigh the value that we're getting out of there, and I appreciate the town hearing us on that.
Thank you. Kat?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kat DePaula, 88 Park Avenue, Rutherford. All right, sorry if I'm looking at my phone. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to express strong support for the continued Parklet program. For restaurants like ours, this is not just about outdoor seating, it's about economic survival, growth, and long-term vitality of our town. The Parklets allow us to add approximately 24 additional seats with an average per person spend between $55 to $70. Over a 90-day period, that translates into a significant increase in revenue, not just for our business, but for the local economy. More employee hours, wages, higher purchasing from local suppliers. Without these seats, that revenue simply disappears. This is not just a business issue. It directly affects my staff. More seating means more shifts, more tips, and greater financial stability of dozens of workers. For my staff members, this decision impacts their livelihoods, not just our bottom line. Restaurants are an economic engine of this district. This stretch of town is fundamentally a restaurant-driven destination. Restaurants bring foot traffic, keep people in town longer, support surrounding businesses indirectly. Other businesses benefit from the crowds we generate. Non-restaurant businesses have the opportunity to set up outdoor displays, engage directly with the increased foot traffic. If businesses choose not to participate with these opportunities, that should not limit the growth of those who do. Understanding parking is a concern, parking challenges should be addressed more holistically. Removing parklets will not solve the issue in a meaningful way, as we are discussing 8 spots. We were not given adequate notice about these changes. Many of us already invested in outdoor infrastructure, made financial decisions based on the expectation that this program would continue. Reversing course now creates unnecessary financial strain and uncertainty. As Councilman Errico mentioned last meeting, while parklets may have started during COVID, the economic conditions today are extremely different from 2019. Since then, food costs have risen dramatically, labor costs have increased significantly, and additional tariffs. These additional seats are no longer a temporary convenience, they are a necessary tool for restaurants to remain viable. If we look at successful towns nearby, like Montclair, Hoboken, and Ridgewood, they all share one thing in common: strong restaurant scenes, high foot traffic, and limited parking but high demand. People choose these towns as destinations despite inconvenience because the experience is worth it. Rutherford has the opportunity to continue growing into that kind of destination, but that depends on supporting businesses that draw people here. Council members, you can cascade Rutherford into the next generation of business, and please do not be short-sighted on this issue. Taking parklets away will set us back years to the days where most of Park Ave storefronts were closed and the highlight of our downtown was a dilapidated Mandy's. Future opportunities such as the World Cup and tourism. With global events like the upcoming World Cup bringing increased regional traffic, this is not the time to scale back. It's time to expand and capitalize on that momentum. Without support for programs like the parklets, restaurants will lose revenue, staff will lose income, and the town risks losing an appeal as a dining destination. We are not asking for special treatment as restaurants. We are asking for the ability to continue contributing to the town's growth. Supporting parklets is supporting small businesses, supporting local workers, and supporting the identity and the future of Rutherford. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kat. I didn't mean to cut you off for it. It's just this is the procedure.
No, I know. Procedure's a little different in this town. We're used to Hawthorne's procedure, but I appreciate it.
We're a better town.
Yeah. Exactly, that's why I'm here. Craig Cayetano, 25 Franklin Place, floor 2, Rutherford. Thanks, Mayor and John and Council for receiving my email earlier. I just want to reiterate a couple of things, chatting with some of the businesses. It's tens of thousands of dollars. You have World Cup coming. I'm Latino. I have a lot of friends that are going to be traveling here and are telling me they're going to want to stay within a 10, 15-minute radius of World Cup. So it would be a lot easier for them to get an Uber, hop on the train, get here, and dine. And obviously, it's going to be a big draw for this summer. I'm not about amending this, and that's why I was hoping we could pull it and obviously have other conversations with other the businesses and stuff, because I think there could be a way to increase accessibility to parking and offset through the garage or putting a little bit higher fee or whatever you guys feel. But I'm just glad that everybody's hopefully on board with this and realize how much energy is here behind this. We want to support the restaurant row. I wish Hawthorne would love to have that type of row, and they couldn't. And obviously Rutherford's a gem, and that's why I'm here, and I'm glad. Let's keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so you're aware, my friends are from Italy. They're not coming.
Well, I'm part two, I know.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Meredith. I live at 87 Donaldson Avenue in Rutherford. I'm a local business owner and the president of the Rutherford Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to give some opinions and hope that some consideration will be made to some of the comments that I'm about to come up with as opinions on the vote about the parklets. The difference of opinions of who benefits and who doesn't benefit from parklets is always going to exist. The vote of whether or not to keep them is something that should be well thought out with more time to consider a few things first. A business owner will look at a year and begin preparing months in advance for something like these parklets. A restaurant likely will invest in more staff, supplies, furnishing, plates, utensils, menus, advertising, and much more, depending on their business budget and their estimated turnaround of this event. This most likely would be on top of their actual price of renting the parklet. Whether you are for or against parklets, it's important to consider that some of these businesses have already invested in anticipation of these parklets being available for this year. With that said, because of the late timing of this vote and because of the potential money spent that will be lost by businesses that have planned for the parklets, it should be considered to take this debate and vote up after this season, giving everyone more time to plan for the potential of no parklets and for those who have pre-planned and spent ahead to not lose money this year. To be clear, I do want to say that I understand the points of view from other professional and retail type businesses that find the parklets to be a business deterrent due to a lack of parking. But I also understand that the parklets provide a charm and an increased potential for attracting more overall business to Park Ave. However, at this late time to consider keeping or not keeping the parklets, I feel that decision should be postponed, giving more time to the businesses that have invested in the parklet availability a chance to not lose what they or may have not invested in this season. Lastly, I would like you to consider is, with or without parklets, parking on Park Avenue will be difficult either way. However, Rutherford has alternative parking options that don't seem to be fully taken advantage of, such as the need for better street signage to lead traffic more clearly to parking options like the KIPP garage. For example, if we were to go to downtown Montclair, signage and instruction of where to park other than on the main drag is for the most part very visible and creates a more pleasurable experience because you wouldn't even consider driving up and down and considering parking on a street like Park Avenue. Instead, you would realize, because of good signage, that the better option is to use the alternative off-street parking right away when you get there. I would hope that with a focus on leading Park Ave traffic to our off-street parking and with better signage, we may just find that that would be the solution to this problem and good for all businesses on Park Avenue and all other businesses within walking distance of the KIPP garage. Thank you.
Dan, can I just give you one quick comment? For all the years I've known you, you always end everything with lastly and then additionally. All right, I'm out.
Hi, I'm Susan Tully. I live at 44 Summit Cross in Rutherford. My husband and I moved here in 2018 from Washington, D.C., where we lived in a residential neighborhood that had a lot of restaurants within walking distance. And we used those a lot. When we got a dog, we could still go out to eat because we could bring the dog. And when we moved up here, it was really hard to meet new people. Rutherford can be a hard town to move to if you haven't lived here your whole life. And it took a lot of years to settle in and meet people. One of the things that made a difference was the fact that we can sit outside now on Park Ave. I think a lot of people know our dog Sally. I've gone to other restaurants where people have said, oh, you're Sally's owners. But it's so nice to sit out there and see people I know walking by. Some of them are you. To see people I can say hello to, it really invigorates the downtown. And to look at changing that when we're going to have all of these visitors coming in for the World Cup really makes no sense. But it's really not as much about that as it is about connecting community and really fostering a sense of community in this town. And I think the parklets and letting people sit outside during warmer weather really fosters that. Not everyone has a beach house they can escape to. A lot of us spend the summers in Rutherford. And it's really nice to be able to go sit outside, enjoy a night like tonight, and just soak up the atmosphere of the town and enjoy all of the great food that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Catherine LeBate, and this is
Dan LeBate.
and we're the owners of Suprema here in Rutherford at 92 Park Ave. I'm here tonight in support of continuing the outdoor dining parklets, and behind me is our family and staff and friends who are here to support as well. I also see some of our regular customers who have showed up tonight, and we both just want to thank you, and we truly appreciate the support. Last year was our first year participating as new owners, and I can honestly say it made a meaningful difference for our business. After a long, slow winter, the spring and summer months are something both we and our customers truly look forward to. We've already had customers asking us when outdoor dining will be back. It's becoming something people expect and genuinely look forward to each year. When we do have outdoor dining, the majority of customers request to sit outside. They tell us they love being able to enjoy the music, people watch, and just soak in the Rutherford atmosphere. Over the past few weeks with nicer weather, most of our guests have been asking us when we will be set up and ready to go. Feedback from our customers is that the parklets contribute to the community. They've mentioned that even if they have to park further away, they don't mind, and it's nice to walk and bump into neighbors or friends they haven't seen. The outdoor dining space gives people a reason to come out, stay longer, and enjoy everything Rutherford has to offer. We've also seen it bring in people from neighboring towns specifically to dine outside, which not only supports restaurants, but also benefits other local businesses and adds to Rutherford's appeal. We take a lot of pride in maintaining our parklet. We've invested in making it clean, safe, and visually appealing with plants, flowers, and quality furniture. It's something we maintain daily, morning and night, because we care about how our town looks and feels. I understand parking is a concern, and I respect that. But the parklets only accounted for 8 spaces overall last year, which is less than 7% of parking spaces on Park Avenue. There are 116 spots on Park Ave, from Borough Hall to the Circle at the train station. This does not include any side streets, parking by the church, or the Kip Ave garage. The reality is that parking has been an ongoing challenge in Rutherford regardless. What these spaces do provide, though, is something much bigger. They help create an experience. 8 parking spaces that are taking up less than 7% of overall parking on Park Avenue is not going to make a difference in the parking issue. Outdoor dining brings energy to the streets. It makes Rutherford feel vibrant and welcoming. Towns like Hoboken, Red Bank, Ridgewood, and Metuchen have embraced this, and it has helped turn them into destinations. Rutherford is already becoming that, and parklets are part of that momentum. Rutherford has become a destination for dining. People come here for the restaurants, and while they're here, they're also supporting other local businesses throughout town. With the upcoming World Cup, this is a real opportunity for Rutherford to support local businesses, and outdoor dining helps us to do that in a controlled and positive way. This is a chance to give visitors a reason to remember Rutherford, to experience our downtown, and see what makes this town so special. I also just want to share a real moment from last year. During the dining out finale, I have never seen anything like it. The streets were full, there were kids running around, riding on scooters, the energy was incredible, and there was such a strong sense of community. We had lines out the door of people who wanted to be part of it. It wasn't just good for restaurants, it brought the whole town together. It would be a shame and disappointment to end this. If anything, I think there's an opportunity to expand on that success. For example, on dining out nights, local retail businesses could be invited to participate with setups or displays, giving even more reason to explore and support all of Rutherford's businesses. It should be for everyone to showcase what they have to offer. I'll also be honest, we were only recently made aware that this might not continue. We invested significantly in new outdoor furniture last year with the expectation that this would be an ongoing part of our business. It would be very disappointing to lose something we put so much care and resources into. Lastly, I understand there are concerns and different viewpoints, and I respect that. But for small business owners like us, decisions like this have a direct impact on our livelihood. Outdoor dining isn't just something extra, it plays a meaningful role in our ability to operate and succeed. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one restaurant. It's about creating a town that people want to visit, spend time in, and come back to. I truly believe outdoor dining helps us do that. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Danny McCosker, 108 West Newell Avenue. Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Bruno. I would just want to, I'm looking around, right, and I did ask a lot of people to come out and try to support what was going to happen tonight. And I just want to say thank you very much for everyone. I see all the faces, and you did a great job, and we'll wait and see what the votes are like. And maybe after this, it's a good opportunity tonight. It's a nice night. Take a walk down Park Avenue. Okay, they're stopping the restaurants. And my son is also working the Blarney station, so these meetings make
Danny, that's East Rutherford.
These meetings make you thirsty. Yeah, that's across the tracks. All right, thank you very much for your time, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Frank Wilson, 171 Montrose. I'm probably going to be on the other side of this debate. I had a store here in town for 8 years, so I can sympathize with all the store owners. But the parklets were here to help during COVID. Okay? I'm down to mathematics. Everybody says 8 spots. Well, if the average person taking a spot is a half an hour, that's 8 spots, and it's 2 per hour. That's 16 a day for people that can go in and shop. So over a week's span, that's 96 shoppers that it affects. Those 8 spots in a week time will affect 96 people. And my understanding is that the most we can get off of these things is $300 a month for a 10 by 20 spot, which is 200 square feet, which is basically $1.50 per square foot, which is far below market value of rent. Looking at the budget tonight, my taxes are going up over $1,000. So while I sympathize with everybody, my taxes are going up $1,000, but yet I don't see a relief of how I'm going to get it. If you want to take the meters off, so now it's no longer a meter spot, and charge it as it's a regular spot, and you want to make it $1,000 per spot versus $300, fine. If you want to raise it some other way, charge a 3% surcharge to anybody that's got a parklet, fine. But to get a 200 by 200 square foot spot for $1.50 a square foot, and everybody's roaring about the World Cup coming in, how it helps Rutherford, doesn't help me. Okay, what helps me is that number dropping. At 68, another $1,000 hit with Social Security, don't know where it's going to go. So when it comes down to $1.50 a square foot, I think you all really need to take a look at that, because what I'm told is the most we can charge is $300. And that, my friends, I'll take a spot and live on it, far less than I'm paying right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I'm now going to close it to the public.
I could talk about the parking, right? Okay. No, I want to talk about the parking.
We're talking about the park, but that comes up later.
All right, up here.
Going to close it now to the public and open up for any council comment. Council?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll say the things that I know to be true, and then I'll say the things that I worry about. I feel very strongly that we didn't do this with enough time. That I feel strongly about. I'm a big, my favorite phrase, is the council president knows, is 2 things can be true at the same time. In this case, I think there are like dozens of things true at the same time, not the least of which is I do think 8 spots is a lot of spots in a small area for the businesses that don't benefit from having them closed down. That's not to say I don't think that we should have parklets, but I do think that it is a severe understatement to say that those spots don't matter, especially for individuals who may be disabled, for individuals with small children. They look for spots on the avenue. They just do. With that said, I think that it also is true that the vibrance of outdoor seating is very important. I read every single comment on Facebook about this issue, and 85% of them were inaccurate, which makes me really happy that so many people showed up, because I think facts really matter. And so much of what happens at this town is hashed out on social media in a way that stirs people up to a degree that is really quite upsetting. And I do think that goes to parking as well. I think that the buzz around parking and the reality of parking, and I was born in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, where my mother would search for a spot for 15 minutes at a clip every day. So I know that my perspective is a little skewed, but I think that we need to look at the realities of what's happening and allow ourselves to remove ourselves from the buzz of it all. I definitely think we didn't have enough time to consider this. I do agree with Mr. Wilson that we should look at the logistics of how it is done in the future. I'm not saying right now, but in general, in a way that makes it a little more reasonable for those that don't agree with having them, because there are a lot of those folks out there. They're just not here now. The other thing I'll say is, Mr. Meredith, I agree with your ideas about parking, and I feel like those are great projects for the Chamber of Commerce to take on, of providing signage perhaps to all of the parking and businesses, because I think that would be something really great for us to partner with. And I mention that because I also want to be sure that we understand what the government is responsible for and what we're not. We pass ordinances, we make laws, we listen to the people. We don't necessarily have the ability to change business solutions. One of my favorite things that I always tell folks is, I can't control if another Italian restaurant wants to come to Rutherford. That is not part of what we do here. Once someone owns a piece of property, they are allowed to put in that property anything that it's zoned for. So sometimes folks come up to us upset about things that we can't control. And I want to be sure that we listen and then we direct you in the right direction. So the issues of parking, we are always looking at that. We are always looking at parking. And I know the borough administrator and I have had a lot of discussions about the utilization of the KIPP garage because it is underutilized. Folks say there is not enough parking in Rutherford, and anytime you go in the KIPP garage, there is plenty of parking. So I think that these are just realities we need to talk about. For businesses, I encourage you to direct them to the KIPP garage. I mean, it is never full, like literally ever. So again, I think that we shouldn't underestimate each other's concerns. Parking is a big concern. I wish it were a more walkable town for some folks. I live really close to town, so I have that luxury, but it's not for everybody. And in that way, parking does matter. I'm thrilled that all of you are here. I don't think enough people come to council meetings to actually just say their piece and get real information, so I thank you for that. I'll be voting no because I do think we need to rethink how we went about this in this instance, and the planning factor is really important to me, that most folks have planned to have this this summer and this year with FIFA, and I think that's important. But I also think that this is an issue we should keep talking about.
Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. First and foremost, it is a pleasure to see all of you here tonight. This is a treat. We don't get to see very many people. A lot of people don't like to come to our meetings for some reason. But put a hot topic on the agenda, and here we go. So thank you all today for coming in. I agree with my colleagues' comments regarding the 8 spots. 8 spots is a lot of spots, especially when they're concentrated in one area. It does affect other businesses, and I agree with your comments on having to possibly look at this at another time. Mr. Meredith, your comments are well received, and just to give you an update, Wayfinder Signs is part of the plan for the Transit Village grant that we received. So the conversation has been had already about this, putting it into the proposal. So thank you for being on the same page there with us, much appreciated. But that is something that we have identified as an issue, and working with the borough administrator now to try to get that accomplished as part of our Transit Village grant process goes. As I see so many people tonight asking for the parklets to stay, I am a little taken back by the amount of people that I thought would be here to support the opposite. Seeing the social media comments, I thought that we would get a lot more people here in support of not having the parklets anymore. I do agree once again with all my colleagues here. The short notice presented a problem. And, having the World Cup coming up and whatnot, it led to basically no real planning time if this was to go away, and I understand that. So I respectfully appreciate your comments today of coming in to support your wishes. Although I may be voting a certain way today, that does not mean that I think that this should go away and never be talked about again. I think we do need to revisit this again. Today may not be the day to make a decision to take it away. So in a few minutes, I will be making my decision once we're all done, but I thank you all today for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you everyone who came here tonight to share their views. And I'm glad that we went through the procedure of allowing folks to have their moment to come up and speak. I think that was really important. And so I appreciate the expediency you were trying to bring, Mayor, to decrease perhaps the anxiety that was present. But I think there's also something to be said about allowing folks to come up and to say how they feel to make sure that their voices are heard. So I'm actually grateful that the process continued as it was. So I have said this multiple times. I think I referenced this even at the last meeting when this came up. So for me, there's definite issues in this moment, most certainly about reasonable notice and opportunity. And there was a conversation that took place at the end of last week. And I stand behind the idea that this is really something that should be less of we say you do, and I would hope that we can proceed with a more collaborative way of having dialogue. It's one community. These are businesses in our community. And whether you're a resident or other, you are part of the fabric that people get to know Rutherford for. And so I think that's a very important thing. So I'd like to underscore that moving forward. I hope that continued dialogue, whatever that looks like as a committee, small meetings, whatever, I would just sincerely hope those meetings for dialogue to not just talk about the problem, but also think out of the box about creative solutions. And in the few minutes that we were all together last week, there were definitely some solutions I most certainly had never thought of that were just off the cuff and were different people's ideas. And I feel like although it may not necessarily be the place of government to be moving some of that, we can also be the facilitators of the conversation to have those good ideas come and germinate and to work together and to be good partners. So I do think that there is an equity issue. And again, I don't know that that's something that gets solved tonight. I'd like to put that in the problem category for conversation about how businesses that would want this opportunity that are not afforded the opportunity because of just literally where their location is. Perhaps it is prohibitive because there is a fire hydrant outside or it is a no parking zone. And then also some feedback received since this was introduced from non-restaurant businesses that said, hey, couldn't something be thought about for us? Like, where is the equity in that? And so, again, I want to put that in this collaborative opportunity for problem solving and forward thinking. I do love some of the language that I heard last week, and again, I heard tonight about this forward thinking. What do we want to be looking forward, taking this perhaps what feels like an issue tonight, but really making this a springboard for what will we be tomorrow. And I really want to highlight that and kind of put an exclamation point. And I feel like that's very on brand for Rutherford. That's how we get through things. And so I hope that we can remain true to that. I also want to highlight one other thing that two things actually. One, that Councilwoman spoke about the misrepresentation of facts that sometimes happens on social media. So I want to articulate the following. this does not preclude, this entire conversation, regardless of what happened tonight, did not stop outdoor dining in Rutherford. We have bistro licenses. Many of our businesses have already signed up for them. The tables are out. They've been using them. Certainly with today's weather and going forward, I'm sure they're very happy to have done that. And the Chamber has been wonderful partners with the borough in moving the dining out nights, which have been wildly successful. Hopefully, Mother Nature tries to work a little better with us, because we found that people don't like sitting outside in 102-degree heat in the sun, which I don't think I have to tell any of you. You all know that already. So I just want to state that that was never a part of this discussion. For me, I stand true to what I said about needing to ask questions and get information. I feel as though we've been able to garner a great deal of that over the past few weeks, and certainly your remarks shared that this evening. I do not believe that I don't believe that there was enough notice, and I don't think we're being good stewards of partnership and supporting the borough by putting anybody in a position that would negatively impact their business because it wasn't a fully thought out idea. And with regard to some of the concerns raised tonight, Mr. Wilson, I think those are things that have to be thought about, right? They don't feel good to talk about, but these are all the things that if we're going to really re-examine about the long-term health and wealth of this, what does that really actually look like? And so I would encourage the borough administrator to include, certainly myself, but I imagine my colleagues feel strongly as well, to be a voice in that conversation. And I sincerely hope, I know the Chamber's always been a wonderful partner, but I hope specifically for the businesses impacted by this, that we can have meaningful dialogue going forward. So I do not support this where it is at this time, but I appreciate the fact that everybody took the time tonight to come and speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to bookend my comments from before the public discussion began, I do want to thank everyone for coming out. It means a lot. And sometimes people are cynical about how they can participate in government, but you being here and also reaching out to us individually really does make a difference. And I think it's emblematic of the government that we have here in Rutherford, which is that we're a relatively small town and we have elected officials that are, I think, very accessible. And so I would always encourage everyone to reach out directly to us. A number of you did, and I thought that was really effective and great. I don't want to belabor the comments of my colleagues, but I do think there are two different issues here. One is the procedural issue, the process, which is the notice that we all talked about, which I do not think was sufficient. And then the second is the actual substance, the policy issue. And I don't want to necessarily conflate them. My opinions on both of those are that there wasn't enough notice here. So from procedural kind of error, and then substantively, I think there's a lot more to discuss and to consider than what we thought about on the first reading. But I really, really do appreciate everyone coming out, and I hope that in future issues that impact residents, that we have a similar turnout for whatever those may be. So thank you guys for coming.
Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just want to echo the gratitude for everyone coming out. As I spoke at first read, once I realized I had made a mistake by accepting a 30-second synopsis on what we were doing and heard from you, right? And then I took my time over the next couple of weeks to be out there. Many of you I see in this room, we've had those conversations. I asked you, how do you feel, right? There was a handful that had objected to it, and parking is a thing. For me, and my wife calls me the luckiest parker in Rutherford, it's not ever been an issue. So I love the idea that Mr. Meredith has about where to park. I've lived here since 2010, so I know those little tricks of the trade, and I don't mind walking a block or two. And I will say on the counter to that is that as you are moving to your restaurant of choice, whether it's inside or outside, if you happen to stumble across Barry Goffin's beautiful window displays, right, or the business that does the children's garments, right, there's the foot traffic alone catches your eye. Right? I remember when I moved in here in 2010, the Parker was a mud pit for 3 years, and most of our storefronts were brown paper bag lined. Right? It is an entirely different place right now, right? And that is due to our contributions as a community to each other and to our businesses. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for coming out. I know how difficult it is to take time out of your day, especially as you're running a business that operates at night, but can't thank you enough for making your voices heard.
All I'd like to say before we take the vote is, Mohan, wake up. Oh, Dennis, I'm sorry.
No, sir.
I didn't
No
see your hand
problem.
come up. I still need him to wake up, though.
Of course. It's been a while. Yeah, so good evening. And again, I'll keep my comments brief because I think a lot has already been said that I agree with. I didn't have the ability to be here on the 23rd due to a family commitment when this was first introduced. So I want to just acknowledge that. Also to thank all of our business owners and residents who took the time to come out to speak. As my colleague said, right, this is government in action, and I think it's a wonderful thing to hear everyone's voices. We're here as one community, so it does mean quite a bit. For me, I think the advance notice is certainly, an issue that we've all acknowledged, and I think, running a business like any business, you need that for planning and such. I do think that, sustainability also has been said here this evening, and I think COVID was a time where, the borough was looking to keep businesses sustainable, and now I've heard affordability around sustainability. So I hear you. I think that continuing this conversation, I think, is going to be very important because parking, every other resident I run into mentions parking, and parking be a concern. I think, again, Mr. Meredith, Mr. Wilson, all had great suggestions about like some alternatives to consider around what we should look at for parking. I think in that conversation, I want to talk about safety, and I also want to talk about equity. If every business, every restaurant decided they wanted a parklet, I don't know we'd be able to accommodate that. And I think the greatest good for the greatest number is always important to me. But for tonight, yeah, I think we'll be good tonight, and I thank you all again for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Dennis. On a serious note, I've heard everybody, and I appreciate everybody coming out. We actually have begun starting to look at parking solutions going forward. We've addressed them. We're looking into different options. So I appreciate everybody's input tonight. And now I'm going to close it to council and move it for a vote.
Council President McGowan?
No.
Councilman Coakley?
No.
Councilman Errico?
No.
Councilman Guzman?
No.
Councilman Delbert Cohen?
No.
Councilman Mazzone?
No.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. If you guys want to stay for the rest of the boring part, feel free. If you choose not to, there's the door. All right, folks, take your happiness out into the hallway. We got to finish up in here. All right, we're going to move. Guys, we got to move on. Do I have to ring the bell? Guys, we're going to move on. Where's Ray? Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have an ordinance on second read, amending Chapter 126 to include parking, traffic enforcement, and pedestrian safety devices. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to prohibit the tampering with meters, parking, traffic enforcement, and pedestrian safety devices.
I'd like to motion that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second, please?
Second?
I have a second by Councilwoman Del Rey Cohn. I'm now going to open up to the public for any public comment on this subject and this subject matter only.
About the parking, correct?
It's about a handicap parking spot.
No, it's about the safety
Oh,
devices.
I'm sorry, the safety
Tampering
parking
with safety
spots.
devices.
Yes.
All right, I want to talk about the parking.
We're just about.
That's a hearing
One more,
citizens.
next, right, we're almost there. Nobody from the public wishing to speak. I'm going to close to the public and open up for any council comment. Seeing none, Missy, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mozone?
Yes.
Hearing of citizens.
You're up. Todd, you're up.
Hi, Todd Hennessy, 233 Ridge Road in Rutherford. So, you know, I've been living in this town for 25 years, and even though I'm involved with the town, I really don't come up and speak that much because I really don't have that many complaints. So one thing that bothers me, that's why I'm here, is they got those pillars, and they take a picture, and you get a ticket in the mail. You know, I went to have coffee one day, not that I got a ticket, and I watched a car pull up. He went inside for 2 seconds, and he came out, and I see he got a ticket. Other people I know that got tickets. I don't know what they cost. I don't know what revenue you're making on them, but it's. I go down to Park Avenue. I want to get Chinese food. I got to drive around the block. If you go by the new bank over there, all those spots are yellow. If you go by the Williams Center, that whole block is all yellow. I think we should have more 15-minute parking because, like me, I like to spend money in town. I'll drive up to Houston's. I'll drive somewhere else because of the parking situation. I notice Hasbrook Heights has it. I know Hoboken has it. I moved out of Jersey City because of the parking, and I think they think those things take a lot away from the town. So I think that we should have more 15-minute parking, and this is just my opinion. And those meters there, I think those things that take your picture, it's horrible. I haven't gotten one of them, but I think it's horrible. You get like 60 seconds, I think. You know, you get one in Hoboken. I pulled in and I pulled out 3 minutes. I didn't get out of the car. I got a ticket in the mail, which was dismissed. So, but that's all I have to say. You know, I think that the parking, we have to do something with the parking in town to keep people here, to spend the money here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Frank?
Yeah, they're eating. Frank Wilson, 171 Montrose. It's going to be a continuation of the thing you just passed. I'm against it, but that is what it is. First question I have for the attorney would be is, wouldn't it be discrimination if we don't allow any more parklets to go up on Park Avenue? If other folks want to all of a sudden go up there, another 8 businesses want them, I don't think we could say, no, you can't have them, being that we approved 8. So how do you turn 8 more down if 8's already in? Just saying, it's open. We're opening up another can of worms here. To what they were saying, I agree with Councilwoman Cohn. Those 8 spots aren't just 8. From where those parklets are to the circle, 16% of the parking is gone with the parklets. So this is a big piece of land that's gone. It's not just 8. And as a borough, everybody keeps saying World Cup, World Cup, World Cup. We don't make anything for the World Cup. They do. And I don't see anybody saying, let's share the wealth on the World Cup. So while they take all the benefits of parklets and the World Cup and everything else, the residents can do without parking, and we can do with the traffic, and we can do with everything else, but the businesses all get what they want. So again, I reiterate that if they're gonna sit there, take the meters out, charge them a fee. If that's what it comes down to, according to state statute, whatever, we can't charge if it's a meter, take the meter off. If not, why don't we charge them to rent out the Boiling Springs old parking garage up on top, like the church does on Sundays, that they believe they use the top. That's a parking spot. I don't think we can just take it over, but we can rent it. So if we have to rent it and charge these businesses the fee for the town to go rent that so we can have a place to park, if it's that critical for them. But again, to take away 8 spots, if you do the math at a half an hour per person, is 96 people a week that have to be inconvenienced. And I say this because I went looking for a spot on Saturday, and it was very tough, and I parked down here to walk back. But that's whatever. It's been like that for years. I disagree. If you're gonna, this came about quick, and everybody's crying about buying this stuff, buying this stuff, buying this stuff. But if you have an apartment and your landlord says we're not renewing your lease, do you cry to them that, hey, I just painted the walls, I have to get reimbursed? No. I just bought brand new furniture, I have to be reimbursed? No. Your lease is expired, you got to get out. This is no different. But if you want to have a heart, put it on the agenda that next year, this is gone. So don't buy anything next year, don't plan for anything next year, there is no World Cup next year. It's over, it's done with, it's gone, it's history. Put that on the next agenda and say, you know what, no ifs, ands, or buts, this thing's gone. But just because you did all this stuff, if you rented and the landlord says your lease is up, your lease is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and now open up for any council comment. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Mr. Hennessy, thank you very much for your comments and coming in today. The things that you're talking about are called the safety sticks. And as you can see, as you pointed out, many surrounding communities are now using them. One of the biggest problems we had, and I work with the police department for pedestrian safety here in the borough. One of the biggest issues we have is people actually blocking those spots where it makes it dangerous for pedestrians. They're forced to go into other areas that they're not supposed to be going into. The yellow lines there, although it may not be convenient, the yellow lines do mean don't park there. It's exactly what it means. So therefore, the safety sticks are doing their job. They are helping us manage our resources, and in a very smart way. I'm a big supporter of the safety sticks, and I know that they are helping the borough very, very much. The cost for them is next to nothing for those things, and I can get a better figure from our borough administrator, but I know that it's very minimal, if any cost at all, to the borough. Mr. Wilson, I think that I always appreciate your comments. You always have great ideas. Whether I agree with them or not, I appreciate your ideas. However, I will say that as you saw tonight's vote, how it went, many of us on this dais did react and say, because of timing, we understood. However, we do believe that this is a conversation down the line. It needs to continue. We do know that we do have obviously the parking issue that we've had for many, 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 many years. I've worked here, I lived here for close to 30 years now. It's always been an issue. Maybe getting a little worse because more people have moved into the town, but at any rate, it's something that continues to be addressed by this council, the mayor, and our borough administrator, and all of our department heads. But I can tell you that I will continue to listen to your efforts and to your questions and concerns, and appreciate some of your comments tonight, because I definitely will be looking into this much further. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman? Oh, sorry. We're going to move on to resolution separate. I believe we should probably wait. All right. Resolution separate from consent. Council
Thank you,
President.
Mayor. First is Resolution Number 91, authorizing the execution of the employment agreement for the Police Chief John Russo. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Cohen, so you don't have to dais, and Councilman Mazzone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oops.
Councilwoman Del Rey-Cohen, you want to vote on resolution number 91, authorizing the execution of the employment agreement for the police chief? No. Noted for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Resolution Number 93, authorizing the execution of a contract with Tilcon New York for road paving. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Consent items.
Thank you, Mayor. All items authorized to be consent by the council will be enacted by one motion. These are routine in nature. Motion.
Motion by Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Seeing nothing under new business, we'll do our committee liaison reports. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to congratulate Little League Baseball and Girls Softball on a wonderful opening day parade, and to congratulate Little League for their 75th anniversary and for the wonderful event that we spent at the Girls Stadium on Diamond 4. It was awesome to be there, to see them march into that field, and to know that we all played some small part in that. And so congratulations to all of them, and I wish them all a wonderful season. In support of my liaisons, reminder about 55 KIP Center. They're always looking for volunteers to serve lunch. And please do not forget that on May 3rd, they will be having designer bag bingo. That's quite all the rage. Tickets actually sell quite fast, so if you haven't gotten yours, please get them right away. You can reach out to Kathy Baviello. This evening, we gave out a proclamation about autism acceptance, and I just think it's important to highlight a few things. One, the fact that we've moved beyond awareness and we're talking about acceptance, and I think that those two things just show how far we as a community have come. And I want to acknowledge the Special Parent Network, many of whom are here tonight, that have been active in Rutherford for over 20 years, all started by parents of individuals with autism, who very quietly but consistently support families that are new to our community and those that have been here for a long time as their children and their loved ones mature into adulthood. And they are having a breakfast this Saturday at 10 a.m. There's no RSVP. It's at the library. They buy great bagels. They're delicious, and there's some hot coffee. And so I'm really putting this out there probably to the family members and caretakers who don't have the luxury to leave their home because they're caring for someone who needs their assistance, but maybe you're watching this or they're your neighbor or someone you love. Please share that information with them. It is You can talk as much or as little as you want. Sometimes just to be around people who can give you a hug in a way that's very meaningful and purposeful. Sometimes just to have a second. And people have brought their loved ones with them because they didn't have anyone to care for them during that time. They're welcome as well. So I want to give a shout out to these parents who do it on their own dime, nonstop, every year. They are amazing, and I'm indebted because I'm one of the families that benefited from their goodwill. And last but not least, an event that will be coming up. I wish I had the date in place, but it'll be coming up in the next few weeks. I've been working with Councilman Dennis Mazzone, who is the liaison to Stigma Free, and we are talking about a panel. We've reached out to the former New Jersey Ombudsman for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, Paul Aronson, Dr. Julie Good, who is a full professor in special education with an expertise in autism from Ramapo, I think there's still a college, Ramapo College, and new to the discussion, Dr. Marcel Kaganavaskaya. I hope I said your name right, Dr. Marcel. He is a nurse practitioner who specializes in working with individuals with autism, depression, bipolar, anxiety, all of these comorbidities that come with individuals with disabilities, particularly autism and other intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we are planning this Zoom panel that will be open to everyone across New Jersey, but we are most excited to do it most likely before the end of April. It may be in May due to schedules, but the topic is to really talk about how do we support individuals across the lifespan. So this is not just about young children, but the complexities that come with mental health and developmental disabilities. Rutherford champions itself, and I'm proud of this, that we are a stigma-free community and that we believe that we are accessible to all. Clearly, this is something that's near and dear to me. I look forward to getting information out, and we'll share that through the borough and the links and the information in the upcoming weeks. And I thank my councilman colleague for being a good steward and partner in this. Mayor, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cogley.
Thank you, sir. I'll be brief. I did want to thank Ms. Salesi, who was in the galley momentarily, for her lovely write-up on the Children's Youth Art Banner program. It fell off for about a season, and so kind of the numbers dwindled, and so PR like that is always supremely helpful. So, Jen, if you're hearing me, thank you very much again. That's it for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Arico.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the Green Team for their Styrofoam collection event that happened last Saturday. If you didn't make it, there'll be another one in a few months, and it's always a great event if you have any extra Styrofoam that you've kept at your house to dispose of that. We also, earlier this meeting, it seems like hours ago, passed International Dark Sky Week proclamation. The rationale behind that, in addition to it being Dark Sky Week this week, is Rutherford is in the path of some migratory birds that are migrating from the south up north this time of year. So I would encourage all of our residents and businesses in a safe manner to consider dimming or shutting off your exterior lights during the next week to assist with that migration pattern. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. First off, I have nothing to report on my liaison assignments. However, I have two things to comment on. Number one, Councilman Coakley, I appreciate all your efforts on the Spring Banners program. It makes me smile when I walk down throughout our town and see those banners of what, you've been a fine steward of that program for many years now. And I hope whoever takes that over does as fine job as you have these past few years on that program. It's really nice to see, and it really adds a level to our downtown. So thank you very much for your efforts there, sir. I also like to thank our borough administrator for a budget today presentation. It takes a lot to put that together. A lot of efforts went into trying to get this balance, the budget to a good number. Obviously, I would need to also thank our CFO, Gordon, and my council colleagues in finance, Christy Del Rey Cohn and Councilwoman McGowan. I appreciate your efforts. I've been there. I know it's a lot of work, and thank you so much. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Del Rey Cohn.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the library for putting on yet another successful used book sale this past weekend. It takes so much work and effort to gather the books, organize them. It's really a wonderful event. Also on the library, the library gala for the Library Foundation is going to be on May 2nd. It's a wonderful event. It's a wonderful way to support the library, which puts on just fantastic programming for children and adults alike. So if you haven't yet bought a ticket for the library gala, I encourage you to do so. And if you do buy one, I encourage you to find me on the dance floor, where I will be much of the night, as my council colleagues know. And finally, just to echo what the council president shared regarding the parade and celebration this weekend for the Little League, even though it was freezing cold, it was just the most wonderful thing to be on the girls' freshly minted field and have both the girls and boy teams represented. I really wish I could remember the name of the young woman who sang the national anthem, but she knows who she is, and I want to say she just sort of blew me away. So forgive me for not having her name at my fingertips, but I would be remiss in not at least mentioning her. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's Mia. To Mia. Thank you, Councilman Cookley.
Thank you. Councilman Maison.
Yeah, thank you. I would also like to express my thanks to the Borough Administrator and our CFO for all the work on the budget, as well as to Councilwoman Delray Cohn and our Council President, Stephanie McGowan. Being the junior member sitting up here, and this being my first budget process, I found it helpful and informative, and I see the effort that goes into it, so thank you for that. As for my liaison assignments, this Saturday, the Health Department will be hosting a blood screening. Got to get up early, 7 to 9 here at the Health Department. And then I wanted to just highlight that our EMS on May 17th is going to be hosting an open house. Wanted to get that out there early, give opportunity for folks to plan to be there on Sunday the 17th. They're going to be there from 10 to 4. They're going to be giving tours of the ambulances, the first aid quarters, talking about how to become an EMT, and as they say, if you can't volunteer, donate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm going to move on to my report. I really don't have anything to report. I just want to also echo the how honoring it was to be at the field Saturday morning. It was a great moment for the girls' softball to finally have their own stadium. And the boys, it was a great parade. The boards are a wonderful team, and they work well together, and they really make this town shine when it comes to making our kids feel like they have a home down that field. To Councilman Errico, I really enjoyed Augie's pictures. They were great. I have some appointments tonight. Sean Taylor, provisional appointment to truck driver in accordance with the rules and regulations of the New Jersey Civil Service Commission, effective April 14th, 2026. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion?
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Delray Cohn. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I have Dylan Sorlizano, traffic guard in accordance with the rules and regulations of the New Jersey Civil Service Commission, effective April 14, 2026. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Maison. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I have Tanya Guerrero to 2026 Kinder Camp Supervisor. Council, I'd ask for council consent.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Delray Cohn. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilman Coakley. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Delray Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
And finally, I have the 2026 Summer Camp Counselors with the attached list. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Delray Cohn. May I have a second, please?
Second?
Second by Council President. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Coakley?
Abstain.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
And I thank you all for taking your time tonight. I know it was a little long with the pre-meeting with PIA, but thank you. And I would now accept a motion for an adjournment.
Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night, everybody.